May is Mental Health Month, and today we're focusing on the mental health of teenagers. New survey results from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that adolescents' mental health may be headed in the wrong direction.
The CDC surveyed teens from 2011 to 2021 and found that nearly all indicators of poor mental health and suicidal thoughts and behaviors increased from 2011 to 2021. Eddie Carrillo is a licensed mental health specialist at Sherwood High School and joins us live to talk about some of the latest findings. Eddie, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for joining us. This is a really important topic, especially when you see so many of these indicators and trends headed in the wrong direction. What do you think is contributing to some of these troubling trends?
Yeah, I think one, it's a tough question to answer, but I go to two main points. So I think one of the things is internet and social media use. And then the other one is probably the bigger one, most recently of COVID. So if I just focus on internet and social media use, I think an interesting thing to consider is that widespread internet use, like via a smartphone, really started to take off in the early 2010s. And that's actually right around the time that the CDC started to collect this data. So around that time, we started to see rates of depression and anxiety in teens start to increase. I'm not going to say that one caused the other. There's more research and stuff that needs to go to like confirm it, but I think we can look at the relationship and notice that it's there. Along the same lines, there is some research that has found that teens who use social media are more likely to be anxious and unhappy than those who don't. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. One of those being pressures to conform, feeling like you need to do the same things that people are doing, the same trends on TikTok that other people are doing. There's also unrealistic expectations for yourself. There's a higher chance of cyberbullying. The more that you use the internet, the more you're on social media, your chances just increase. There's the idea of FOMO, or fear of missing out, that impacts teens a lot. If they see that their friends or their peers are doing certain things and they're not doing it, that could impact their self-esteem and just their self-worth. And I think the last one that really connects internet and social media use and COVID is the more that a teen is using the internet, social media, there's less time to engage in other activities. And because there's less time to engage in other activities, things like self-care, things like going outside, playing sports, participating in extracurriculars, that time for that is now lessened. And because we're not doing those things, we're not engaging in those activities, our self-care, our way of coping is now a lot less than it used to be. So with all that, we have a group of teens who struggle to cope and who've had a hard time with coping skills. And then they've had to deal with the impacts and the isolation of COVID. I mean, fundamentally, our teens really are in a different place now than they have been before.
You know, the survey also found racial and gender-based disparities. For example, girls reported more feelings of hopelessness, black students more likely to attempt suicide, students who identify as queer, they all experience these problems at a higher rate. So talk about the connection of those factors and how they contribute to teens' mental health.
Yeah, I'll go back to internet and social media use. I think one of the great things about the internet and having all the information we need in an instant is that we have it. We have it when we need it. We're more informed than ever before. The flip side of that is that we also know about the bad things that happen in our world a lot quicker. So for me, I can't imagine what it's like for young girls to constantly see on the news discussions of their rights are being debated and potentially taken away. For Black teens feeling like it's a constant news that someone who looks like them or someone who has similar background to them is constantly being targeted or mistreated. And then more recently with legislations and things in the news with the LGBTQ plus community and feeling like they're the target of concerning and hateful comments. I think when you're in a world where you're getting this news constantly, it's hard to feel like you're safe or cared about in the world when a lot of the news that you're getting is negative and is negative towards your group of people and your population.
So, Eddie, you work with students every day at Sherwood High School. What kinds of resources can we find within the school or within a community that can help students?
Yeah, I think the school gives us a good access to other trusted adults for our kids and our teens. Our kids are around teachers, staff, school counselors. A lot of the time, it's like 180, 190 days a year. So that gives us access to other trusted adults. I think trusted adults, teachers, the other school staff give parents and caregivers the opportunity to learn a different perspective of their child. They get to see, how they interact differently in school with peers. They get almost insider information of what their kid is like outside of the home. So being able to use that information to help guide your choices and your decisions and help support them as much as possible. I think as far as leaning into that community, leaning into your school, leaning into those trusted adults, that's really helpful for a lot of parents and can be really helpful for a lot of teens and children.
Yeah, let's talk about parents. Parents or guardians. How can they help at home in dealing with this crisis?
Yeah. I like to focus on the two starting points for me are additional grace and patience for our teens. I think my math is correct. I hope it's correct. Feel free to correct me if it's wrong. But if you think about over the last 3 years and the lifespan of a preteen and a teen, you have 12-year-olds who spent 25% of their life. You have 15-year-olds who spent 20% of their life, and you have 18-year-olds who spent about 16 to 17% of their life in the middle of one of the biggest crises in human history. And I think they're really needing additional support, additional patience and grace. That's stuff that they desperately need. You know, we're trying to move forward in our society with things and trying to get back to normal, but our kids are lagging behind a little bit. As resilient as they are, as much as grit, determination as they have to continue on as much as possible, I think they need that additional grace and patience that they have a hard time asking for.
Yeah, I think it's so easy sometimes to kind of write off the door slamming or the attitude as like teens being typical surly teens, but it's good to kind of refocus and really think about all that they've been through over the last few years, and to see these surveys and these stats. It's a good reminder that there's more going on there we got to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Eddie, thanks so much for joining us. Some great perspective there to keep in mind during this mental health month. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And for a full breakdown of that youth risk behavior survey, you can read more online at cdc.gov/healthyyouth.